like 5 people right now. Pull out.
From the west side of Chicago, it's the Greg Struss Show. I'm Scotty Joe Vegas, and buddy, stay tuned for the next 30 minutes as we discuss how great our viewers are and bringing you a meaningful summer of Taboo Topics. And now, Sister Theopla's bad habit, Gregory Struss. Yeah! And here's the star of the show. Let's go!
Thank you. Welcome to...
Oh. We're back.
We are. Okay.
Should have took the first one.
Somehow I feel like we've been through this before. Anyway, welcome back to the Greg Struss Show, where you'll always find clean sheets, a comfy bed, and the triple play, courtesy of our friends here at Xfinity Comcast. All right. Greg Struss coming to you almost live here from the mothership. Let's go over here. From the mothership.
Focus that camera.
From the mothership, out here, thank you, here at Elmhurst, out in Elmhurst, Illinois. Right?
Elmhurst, Illinois.
I feel rushed tonight.
I feel a little, yes.
What is he doing over there, by the way?
I think he's eating something.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me go over.
Brian always has mints.
He's
Right.
like a good horse trainer.
Yeah, I have to tell you, this has been a crazy summer. Crazy, I tell you. Hasn't it?
How crazy is it?
Well, it's been a crazy summer with the presidential election, okay? That was one thing. Then there was Roger Ailes' firing from the Fox News network, and amid actually sexual abuse. Well, actually sexual harassment. I think there's a difference between sexual harassment and sexual abuse, right?
Yes.
But there is a certain amount of abuse that's involved in both, I would think, right?
I would say human trafficking and saying somebody got nice yams is two different things.
Because when there's a fat, disgusting old man preying on you, they usually say, "Get away from me, Greg." No. So yeah, and to cap it off, I left my job as a counselor.
Really?
Not in San Francisco, but and I think I'm just gonna chill, and I'm gonna do what every other unemployed American does. I'm going to sponge off the government. I think that's what's going to happen, right?
Are you getting gum and cheese?
Because this is Chicago, after all, home of the free and takers of the freebies. That's what it always is.
Crook County.
Crook County, Illinois. I'm just kidding, by the way, because it's always important to work. I think working is very important because we can always do better than what the government will give us.
Many hands makes light work.
I think so. And idle hands are also the work of the devil. That's one of the reasons why Dan Rather probably worked around the clock.
That's what my grandmother told me about my hands being idle on a certain unit.
Yeah. So anyway, as you know, on this program we talk a lot about recovery and in 12-step work, okay, when we talk about 12 steps, we talk about happy, joyous, and free. Mm-hmm. In unemployment, it's not happy, joyous, and free bees. There's a big difference. There's a correlation between the two, all right? In 12-step work, actually, are you familiar with 12-step? 12-step, 12 traditions originally came from the Alcoholics Anonymous.
Really?
All right, so for people that had, and really it's the godfather of all recovery programs. Okay, so it's considered a program because it's a design for living. All right, so we admit powerlessness. We admit that a power greater than ourselves can return us to sanity. We take inventory. And then when we're wrong, we promptly admit it. Okay, so those are very important things as one is getting back on life. And whether or not someone has an addiction or someone has like something else going on in their life, I think that those 12 steps come in handy for the person that has an issue and the person that does not have an issue. All right,
sir.
so it provides clarity and really is a design for living that, okay, I'm able to be honest, open, and willing, and that's very important, I think, in the communication process and in life itself, okay, and in relationships. I think that's very important.
And in marriage.
Right. So anyway, one of the I believe it's tradition 3 states, the only requirement for membership is the desire to stop drinking, all right, or stop using, or stop doing whatever. In governmental handouts, the only requirement for membership is a desire to not be working. It's different. Doesn't always go. Okay, thank you. It's a long way to go to get there, right? Did you get that? Okay. So anyway, how have you been? What's been going on with you?
I've been traveling. I went and seen Drake in St. Paul, Minnesota with my little girl and had a wonderful time and saw Future. And I was the oldest guy there. And I went to my 30-year reunion from my high school, TTHS, Thornton and Harvey. And had a great time. Some great, wonderful people. I like this shot right here. This is my welcome to my booth.
I like the face shot.
Give me the face shot, Bobby. And you know what else?
Look at the camera.
Right? Oh, I'm sorry.
And move over a little bit. There you go.
You want to date or something?
Okay.
You like me? You want my number?
Did you understand that? Okay. The only desire is to stop drinking.
Yes.
In governmental handouts, the only desire is to stop working.
Are we going to get a facial reaction on this?
You. Facial shot? Facial shot? Wide shot. All right, there we go.
Okay, I think he's getting the lube out and it's working.
Let's not even talk about that because sometimes it can be messy. All right?
Indeed.
Sometimes you leave the door open and something like
sometimes you need a beach towel and a fly swatter.
Or 2 comforters. But anyway, tonight we're going to be talking about the, what are we going to be talking about? We're going to be talking about in Taboo Topics tonight, and I think this is really interesting, when it's acceptable not to give a 2-week notice to an employer. Did you know that? There's reasons when we do not have to give a 2-week notice to an employer. And I think it's interesting because I did a lot of research on this, not because that's something I would do. But
yes, sir.
It's interesting, fascinating stuff, as they say. And we're also going to talk a little bit more about the 12-step, 12-tradition model. I think the model is good because if we were looking at the presidential election right now and they were doing some 12-step work, all right, there'd have to be a certain amount of honesty involved, okay? A certain amount of openness and a certain amount of willingness. Now, what do you think would happen if some of these people were being honest, open, and willing, Hillary? What do you think would happen? The conversation would change, right? It wouldn't be all the blaming, because in addiction, what do people do?
Blame.
They blame. They never accept responsibility. So, something else comes in. Are some people who are in the public eye addicted to that attention that they get?
I would say yes.
Okay. I think that's interesting. So how does 12-step work? How would a 12-step program work for someone like Hillary, or shall we say Jay Leno?
Yes.
Okay, because Jay always had to tell jokes at 11:30 to the point of where his relationships with others were affected. And I thought that was kind of interesting.
I think he was probably cut off at home.
Or he was just too busy with the cars. Anyway, I'm Greg. This is The Greg Show. And we are reinventing community television here from the west side of Chicago. Thank you for joining us, and we'll be back in just a moment.
This is a true story. It says the parakeet was brought from unconsciousness from the house and was revived by firefighters using oxygen masks. And when they brought the bird back to life, it asked if it could have a cracker. Maybe they wanted a cow pie. Was that what it was?
And we have returned here on The Greg Show, coming to you from the west side of Chicago. And how are you doing, Scott?
Fantastic.
We were having a talk before the show, about a lot of different things. And one was about microphone technique, right?
Correct.
So one of the things that I was watching, I actually, you start to kind of be a geek when you've been doing this for a while. So you start to look at, what other shows are doing sometimes and how their production values are. So Scott's been complaining for weeks now because some of these shows have not been posted yet. I am only one person, by the way.
That's right.
And also has been blaming the audio situation on other people and not himself.
Sounds like I have an addiction. It all wraps up here. Hello, everybody. Hi.
No, you're going to blow them out in the control room. Okay, so a few weeks ago, he's going on and on and on and on and on about, and I'm just kind of exaggerating here because I want to sound like, no. It's not a roast. So anyway, no, the lipstick doesn't come out either. Here's
Nostril hair.
So anyway, how long have we been doing this?
Too long.
Okay, so I had a little bit of I got to get rid of this by the way. Do you know?
Yeah, it's like, hey, I know you,
I know you. All right.
I know you know.
All right, so, okay. We started this a long time ago, and we've learned a lot.
Yes.
But yet I still don't understand why you would put a microphone all the way down here. And then say that something's wrong with the miking. All right?
I don't know where you got your sources from, but I would say that my microphone is usually right about here, and I just got tired of not being heard. How you doing, everybody? Good morning, Elmhurst.
No, you're over there. Hi. I think it's going to be one of those quiet type of nights where I'm waiting for you to get it going.
Hey,
I need to lean on somebody today.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Lean on me when you're not strong.
All right.
Take a boner pill.
Scott went to our 30th high school reunion. All right. So
in Cherville, Indiana.
It was held in Cherville, Indiana. Was it over 2 days?
It was 2 days.
Okay.
It was an evening attire, and it was a picnic.
Yeah. So got together with some of our peoples from high school, and you'll pick up the story from there. So tell us a little bit about that.
I have never been loved so much in all my life. The bosom of high school. I was Fonzie for 45 minutes, and sure wish you could have made it.
I really didn't know much.
You were my backup date in case Biffy said she couldn't go, but it was fun.
Now, we went to Thornton Township High School in Harvey, Illinois, all right? Harvey is really a south suburb, but pretty much the south side, I think.
The home of Tom Dreesen and Venus Flytrap.
Right, Tim Reed, all right? So they were the first salt and pepper comedy team that came out of Harvey, Illinois, all right? If you drive down 154th Street or 154th Avenue, I think it's street, in Harvey, it's the Honorable Tom Dreesen Way. So every time that Tom Dreesen opened up for Frank Sinatra, he would always talk about Harvey, and people were like, where's that? So Harvey is where Scott and I met. We went to school there, and it was a great experience. With that said...
Do you know why Harvey was invented?
Why it became a city?
Yes.
Why?
The Mr. Moody himself he wanted to create a town with industry and everything all around it, and that's why Harvey was the way it was, that it took off, because of Mr. Moody Bible himself. Serious. In Harvey.
I never heard that.
It's okay.
As Johnny said, I did not know that.
It was an industrial revolution because there were a lot of, Alloyed Sling Chain, there was all those places there.
Oh, the railroad was there?
Yes, that's why they built an industrial. It was everybody had a job in Harvey in the early 60s and 50s and 40s.
And for some reason, areas change. So what happened is, as Roseland changed, Roseland is like the Roseland-Pullman area, that started to change. It was all white people. Then all of a sudden, black people started moving in, and this was before the civil rights movement, and they would call it block busting. What happened is the federal government started coming in and busting up blocks that just white people couldn't live there. Hispanic people could live there, black people lived there, et cetera, et cetera. Well, what happened? One black person moved in, a family moved in, and all of a sudden white people panicked, and that's where the term white flight came from. So white people, all right, Caucasian people, more so probably out of fear and more out of fear than ignorance, I think.
Boogeyman.
Felt uncomfortable because there were people that were different than me or you.
We were,
okay?
as children, we were told that, oh, and it's not like that. It was a boogeyman mentality where it's like, you were afraid of.
Yeah. My parents were not like that. My parents, I felt, raised us to be, I don't want to say open-minded, but being accepting of all people. And it was different. It was different going from an all-white school to a heavily mixed school.
My mom and dad took everybody's money. They didn't care if you're red, green, or an alien. They took your money. And treated you right.
So that's why, like today, I think it's really silly when we start to hear about all of these racial tensions and, Black Lives Matter and all of these groups, because I don't think that everybody speaks for everyone, all right?
It's only 1% of the population.
Right. So you see people that are from various organizations, whether you could say like, what are, it's like saying that just because the Ku Klux Klan consists of white people, that white people are all the same as the Ku Klux Klan. And it's like saying that, all right, Jesse Jackson and Reverend Sharpton, all right, they've preyed on people's fear. I don't think they're representative of the black community, that every black person feels this way.
Correct.
Okay? So, and the reason I'm talking about this is because as you were talking before the show, you went to our reunion. You said you were the only white person there, pretty much, you and Miffy. And what happened? Everybody was welcoming. It felt like family, right?
I'd never been loved so much in all my life.
Yeah.
And I knew going in that I'd be receptive that way, but that's because I made an effort, as even like when our lunchroom was segregated, where you had blacks on one side and whites, and
you always sat over on the other side.
I sat on both sides because I liked everybody. And when they invited me over, I went over, and I was at home because those guys, they treated me just like a brother,
There are two.
You weren't in my lunchroom.
We were a different period.
Different period.
All right, so were you the one that had the huge food fight?
Yes.
Oh, what was that like? We just missed it. I just missed it. I was so upset about that. I mean, this was huge. At Thornton, they had like this huge lunch room, this huge cafeteria. But what they did is they took these tables that had the built-in stools, because back in the 60s, during the race riots, people would actually take
Thornton
the
had a
chairs.
big history of race riots.
Right.
Very big history. Yeah. That's why we got a reputation for being such an evil school, is because we had such race riots.
But it wasn't, by the time we were there, it wasn't that way, all right, for the most part.
No.
So.
But times were different when we were there, too.
I mean, we're going back 30 years ago, but really 30 years ago is not that long
I'd say 40 years ago, like my brother, he talks about, but it's water under the bridge now, man.
Yeah. So the long and short of it is, we get together, I didn't go because I didn't really know much about it, but you went, people were different than you, and in the end, everybody welcomed each other, and there wasn't any of this BS of, accusing of whatever. Everybody accepted each other.
I'm from Dixon, Illinois, that's all I know.
That's right.
I'm from the Mo.
The Mo, as they say. I did take a ride through there.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's different.
It's different.
Yeah. It just doesn't seem does it seem the same to you?
No.
Like, do you ever go back and say, wow, that's where I used to hang out?
I look and I go, it's part of getting old. It's sad, but what are you going to do?
I have no idea. Anyway, we have a lot to talk about coming up in this next segment. I'm just looking for a cue here, seeing where we are with our time, and
hey, Bob.
I'm feeling that we're all off.
All right.
That we're all off a little bit.
When we come back,
we're going to discuss, a job change. When it's time to leave, and when it's time not to give a 2-week notice.
Correct.
Very controversial, because in states like Illinois, I know I hear the music, we'll be with you in a second. One of the things is that this is an at-will state. That means that an employer can terminate me at any moment. all right? Much like you're going to do right now when you hit something either on the computer or on the remote control. But bear with me in just a moment. At will means that they can fire me at any time, but I can also fire the employer at any time as well. And we're going to talk a little bit about that in the next segment. Anything else?
Better get to it.
All right, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Welcome back, Elmhurst. And now here's your #1 celebrity, Greg Struss.
And thank you so much. Welcome back from the Pat Heffer Theater. You're at Comcast.
Is that what that smell is? No. I'm sorry, what?
You're supposed to say, no, it's...
Oh, Sheffer, Weffer, Queffer. She queefed when we had dinner one time, but it's okay. We're back.
I love that. I loved her. She did this show forever out of the studio,
Yep.
and I don't think that her fans or anyone would appreciate it.
Okay, let's move on to Taboo Topics, or what we had to talk about.
Well, I lost the notes. Okay. Anyway, let's do the opening.
Are we ready in the control room? Okay. And now it's time for Taboo Topics.
Okay.
Okay.
When to leave a job? You've never left a job?
Yes, I have.
You've had the same job for a while, right?
Yes, I have.
Okay. When?
I left Harris Bank. I just didn't show up anymore. I thought I didn't give any notice. I was like, see ya. I was young.
How long did you work there?
In 1 year.
You were there that long?
Yeah.
All right. Anyway,
I couldn't handle the hormones that were happening in my body, and I had to get out and boogie.
I understand.
And then when you wear a blue shirt and janitor pants, it's tough to pick up the ladies.
I understand. But a lot of women like that. A lot of women like the blue collar thing. They like the blue collar thing. They like, I'm going home to my honey. And you got the cigarette in your mouth, you're riding the bike, got your tattoo going, and
I was driving a Horizon with no game.
I don't know why my old lady isn't, why my old lady isn't.
Why is my old lady banging a
Why
tube?
my old lady.
Are we recording?
Yeah, I think
Okay,
we're recording.
okay.
Okay. So anyway, we were talking on the last show, and I really felt that I was over the top by saying that I wanted to leave this job I had been working for a while. Excuse me. I had been doing this for the better part of 2 years. I'd gotten out of school, so it was kind of my first counseling gig and something that I really loved. Am I putting you to sleep?
No, sorry.
So I'm in the middle of this story, and he just yawns. This is great. And I came to believe, another part of 12-step work, as we talk about, that it just wasn't right for me anymore. And I was struggling with this over the course of probably like 5 or 6 months. And but I felt that I had a commitment to the people that were not only working at the place, but also a commitment to the patients because they taught me a lot. And even though we were from different walks of life, I feel that that's what hurt me the most, I think, in leaving. And I really liked my boss. I liked him. I only want to say past tense. I like him. But and I don't even want to say
your boss can't be your friend.
No, and I knew that, and we weren't friends. So people would think like, oh, well, you talk and you guys hang out, da-da. No, we shot the BS and that was it. But we didn't hang out. We didn't do those things because you got to have boundaries.
Well,
right?
it's kind of like me and you then. Okay,
That's your choice.
Hey, easy now. I live 300 miles.
That's your choice. So I just came to believe that, you know what, the stress level was getting a little bit much. And then I was thinking, well, am I being weak here? Saying that, hey, Greg has some limitations. And more so, what is going on with the level of care? What is the level of commitment? What am I seeing? So I think these are some of the things that we learn in counseling, but also things that we can learn that enrich our own lives or better our own lives in the communication process on a daily basis. So really, it's not what I say that counts, it's my behavior. What are my actions? Actions speak louder than words. Now, it comes back to that story of the boy who cried wolf. Do you remember that?
Oh, I know him.
So the boy that cried wolf, every time he would, think it was funny, wolf, wolf, and all the village people came. Not
Really?
the village people,
Really?
because they were performing somewhere else at that time.
Gotcha.
So-
Or in a public restroom. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
or in a public restroom. One of those
Okay,
things.
sorry.
So the village people would come out, sing YMCA, and then they go. No. So the people in the city would come and say, "Oh, the boy, what happened?" And he would laugh. He's like, "Oh, there was no wolf." So all of a sudden he did it again. Wolf, 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 and mom and dad and all these people come and say, "Hey,
three
where's
pigs
the
and
wolf?"
everybody?
Yeah,
Yep,
the
gotcha.
three pigs. They're like, what's going on here? So about the third time, the boy cries, "Wolf, wolf, wolf," and nobody came. And
That's-
who was there but the big bad wolf?
With a hard on.
Yeah. So little Johnny, if that was his name, got a little smart, and the wolf did him in.
Did him right.
So when we cry wolf, I'm quitting, I'm leaving, I'm whatever, sooner or later we got to follow through with it
You got to leave.
because we fire those warning shots.
Yes.
All right? So it came to a point where it was time to make a decision. And
Okay.
I don't know about decisions for you, but some decisions are very difficult to make. To say, okay, this is not only about income, this is about my mental health, it's about my spiritual well-being, it's about how I'm feeling about my life, me, and my own personal space. And when we don't, and Scott's talked a lot about this, about being around safe people, and being, and that importance of feeling safe, and that's something that I've taken into counseling other people, is
Henry Cloud
having
and-
those
sorry.
safe moments, having a safe environment where we feel that we can share openly
And grow.
and grow.
Yeah.
And I wasn't feeling that anymore.
So,
So,
when don't you have to give a notice? That's what you were saying.
I know it's a big buildup.
I would say if your boss shows you his junk, it's time to go.
I forgot. Hold on a minute. I'm just going to move over here for a second. Whoops. It was like the Dick Van Dyke thing.
Better get to it, Shorty.
Under normal circumstances, this is from Allison Doyle, I believe.
Make
It's
sure you're
from
talking your mic.
It's from The Balance, okay? It says, under normal circumstances, it is typical to provide 2 weeks' notice to your employer when you quit your job. It could be even longer if you are covered by an employment agreement that stipulates how long you need to stay.
That's fair.
So employees not covered by an employment contract are employed at will, which means that neither you or your company, if they decide to terminate you, that means fire you, let you go, need to legally provide a notice period prior to terminating employment. So they don't have to say, "Oh, we're going to fire you in 2 weeks." An employee has been physically abusive. A supervisor has sexually harassed you. The work environment is unsafe, or it is unsafe to carry out your assigned responsibilities. Your mental health is being seriously endangered by job stress. You have not been paid the agreed upon wage, or wages have been withheld for an unreasonable length of time. You have been asked to do something which is clearly unethical or illegal. Personal and family circumstances are such that you need to leave the job. And then finally, a crisis has happened in your life and there is no way you can continue on the job. So in most cases, it will make sense to contact the Human Resources Department or management officials not directly involved with your grievance to discuss your situation and explore possible remedies or accommodations prior to giving notice. In some cases, it will also make sense to consult a counselor or therapist to help you cope with job stress. All right, what happens if you're the counselor or the therapist? You still have to consult somebody, right?
Yeah.
All right, we learned a lot today. Do keep in mind that company can't force you to stay. If you quit a job without good cause, you may not be eligible for unemployment benefits, and keep that in mind. But always have, I think this is what's really important, the moral of the story, don't put all your eggs in one basket.